Welcome, I'm Dynamic, and this is a lightning comparison of the Mangird Tea's Blessing to Dusk and 7Hertz Timeless. Let's get to it. Starting with the build and the Timeless, it is easily the cheapest of the three. It feels somewhat flimsy by comparison. Its cable really has no amenities, no Velcro, no choker, and it's a little bit hard to deal with. In second place is the Tea. It is nearly as light as the Timeless, but it feels like a quality build. It is solid. Its cable is easily the best of the three with Velcro choker, and it is just much easier to deal with. Next up is the Dusk, which is easily the most solid build of the three. It's also bigger, and the acrylic is almost massive by comparison. Very solid. The cable is thin and doesn't have any of the amenities, and is really a bad color to match the IEM. It's just a miss across the board. On to Soundstage and Imaging, beginning with the Timeless. This is my second unit, and the soundstage depth has been improved pretty remarkably over the first. The width, depth, and height are comparable to the Dusk, but it doesn't quite sound as natural, and that is its biggest flaw. Thriller sounds less like a room and almost like a cube. The Dusk has an excellent sense of environment on bubbles and chocolate chip trip. It sounds good, it sounds natural, it doesn't have any major flaws, and it doesn't stand out. On to the Tea, and it is the standout in soundstage and imaging among these three. It leaves you with a feeling of open airiness, even on music like Pentatonic's Royals, and particularly on Piano Guy's 1,000 Years. It is just a better experience all around. On to resolution and clarity, beginning with the Dusk. It has noticeable coherency problems when you play something busy like Master of Puppets. Compared to the other two, the sound can be almost choppy and incomplete. On to the Teas, which were impressive, with Pentatonics making a fabulous showing here. Detail and resolution, clarity across the board was quite good. And now we have the Timeless. No matter what I threw at this, Master of Puppets, Pentatonics, anything, you name it, it had absolutely incredible resolution and clarity. It is in a whole different league from these other two. Let's move on to tonality and begin with the Dusk bass. Songs like Massive Attack Angel and Dillard 0742 showed the Dusk driver could get a little murky, a little muddy at times, and it could struggle with sustained bass notes. Under normal music, it behaved quite well. It also had a reasonable impact and a decent amount of dynamic range. The mids really weren't all that special. They weren't good, they weren't bad compared to the other two. Vocals, like Pentatonics, were basically average. The same thing follows through to the treble. In fact, this set's major strength is it is completely inoffensive. Its tonality is fantastic. It's not going to bother you in any way. It is definitely a strength overall of this set. Moving on to Tea. It handled Dillard and Angel better than the Dusk. Its driver seemed to hold it together better. The mids are where the Tea shines. Pentatonics really is fantastic on here. Vocals in general are excellent. They just have a naturalness to them that is frankly spectacular. Moving on to treble, the Teas did seem to get a little hot in odd circumstances, like guitar strums can be scratchy in their intensity on Tegan and Sarah's Heavy. There are a few other scenarios where things like that showed up. It could just get slightly offensive compared to the Dusk or the Timeless. Onto the Timeless bass. They play Dillard and Angel sonically exceptionally well. The sub-bass extension is incredible, and it almost makes up for the lack of slam on this set compared to the other two. Additionally, dynamic range takes a bit of a hit as a planar, so it doesn't come across quite as engaging sometimes. The mids with pentatonics sound full and rich and deep, but they don't quite have the special feeling that the tea can produce. The highs on Piano Guy's 1,000 Years as well as on Master of Puppets are as good and smooth as I have heard. Unlike the first unit of Timeless, I have not detected anything that is overly shouty. Energetic, yes, but it managed to keep on the correct side of the line. Onto comfort, and obviously this will vary from person to person, but the tea has a pressure buildup that happens on insertion and perhaps over time. And the only way I could solve that was by tip rolling to the CP 100 in plus in medium. That is the only thing that worked for me. The Timeless could use just about any tip in many sizes, and the sound changed appropriately to the tip. The Dusk is very large and sat kind of very well in my ear. I understand some people find it too big. For me, it was a nice firm fit and was probably the most long-term comfortable for me. And that basically wraps up this lightning comparison. You guys know what to do. Until next time.